Hey guys, it's West, and I am back from my vacation. If you guys missed the last video that I made, I did talk about being out of town for a while, so I am back. I'm sorry for those of you who missed me, if there are any. Don't worry, I'm here to make plenty of content for you guys, and there's plenty of stuff to make content about because I have been farming the game while I was gone, so we're going to go ahead and talk about a few things here. Just a quick overview of my box. Not too much has changed in terms of units. A few things have changed in terms of runes on some of those units. In terms of leveling units and making my next 6-star, I do plan on 6-starring Lisa. I talked very briefly, I feel like, on my last From the Crumbs video about using Lisa in a raid team. Raids isn't something I am really trying to push hard into, like force myself into uncomfortably. However, raids is something that I am, preparing for, getting all the units ready for. And since I have the units to semi start building, a raid 5 team, I am going to start 6-starring the units. I am going to start looking for runes specifically for those units. Lisa is one of them, of course. I do have 2 fire neostone agents and 1 wind neostone agent ready to be brought up and used to make her into a 6-star. After that, I'm probably going to wait a while for the most part in order to get skill ups. I'm not too sure how relevant this glancing on the first skill is going to be, but otherwise I'm probably just going to aim for skilling up the 3rd skill, of course, to max, and trying to hit max skill on the second, or max skill on the 2nd skill as well, just so that she can be using her 2nd skill as much as possible. Although removing beneficial effects isn't nearly as important as the attack bar increase. But yeah, I do want to build her. She is probably going to be a core member of my Raid 5 team. I do have the composition right next to me. There's a few compositions I'm aiming for. Probably what I'll end up doing is something like this. I'll end up with some mixture of Fire Panda, Fire Harpoo, Fire Nearstone Agent, of course. I was thinking either Water or Dark Kung Fu Girl. I'm leaning a little bit toward Water Kung Fu Girl, as her uses would be more limited to raid than the Dark Kung Fu Girl, the Fire Rakshasa, and the Water Sky Dancer. So the team would have 2 cleansers. It would have a multitude of frontline options, just based on my rune quality and whatever. Just about every unit in that team would end up in the front line, other than maybe Hua. Hua might not end up in the front line ever, just because it cuts her stat pool really thin, or it spreads herself really thin when you try to aim for so many stats on a unit that already requires a lot. I very briefly thought about putting Water Kung Fu Girl or Dark Kung Fu Girl in the front line. The only problem with that is, similar to Hua, not as dire as Hua's situation would be, we would be cutting ourselves really thin in terms of what we could do. But for sure, Lisa's going to be here, and for sure, Lisa's going to be in the front line if I build her. High speed, really high speed, high defense, high HP, and of course trying to hit that 80% resistance if I can. Also, I mentioned Fire Panda. I do plan on fusing Zhongfei. It's really hard to look past all the upsides he has. That 3rd skill that provides so many amazing negative effects or harmful effects to put on to the boss, as well as the leadership skill and the high base HP and really high base defense of the unit, and awakening into resistance on top of that. I mean, it makes for a really, really amazing frontline unit. Of course, Nat 5 stats, so I'm likely going to be fusing him in the future, maybe even pretty soon. I think I'm only 1 monster away from the fusion, but that is whatever. Right now, I am trying to 6-star Lisa for that team. You may notice I have Hua here ready, Miyang's ready. I've been playing around with those units a little bit. So in terms of rune changes, though, we have seen a few rune changes on a few of the units here. So this is Faye's current build, and looking at it, you may notice that the stats as compared to previously, you see Faye's stats are a bit lower, in terms of attack, in terms of speed. Overall a little bit weaker, but you may notice there is an increase in accuracy, and that's about it. So I want to talk about Faye a little bit. Faye is on a Violent Blade set, the only violent set that is up to par, with what I would consider okay, or acceptable to use on a unit. These stats are nowhere near what I would like them to be, but I think for Violent, it's pretty okay. She is really fun on Violent, and she does have accuracy for a reason, so She has the second ability, which strips a beneficial effect with a 100% harmful effect rate with each strike she does with her second skill, and it's a 2 hitting skill, so 2 chances to remove harmful effects. I primarily use her as a Theomar's killer in Arena, as well as using her speed lead, which is really nice, the 24% speed lead. Um, and she could also sometimes nuke entire teams with her fourth skill, or third skill, I mean, I'm sorry. But primarily I use her as a Theomar's killer with her second skill, where her first skill can usually do enough damage to bring Theo to Endure. Second skill can strip the Endure, and then the next unit would go. It would be Bernard. In the case of my team, Bernard would go, and then Bernard would just use first skill to kill Theomars. Um, but now being on Violent, sometimes I see some really insane Violent procs, which is really fun. Having the extra accuracy means that sometimes the first skill would land and then not be resisted as a result of the accuracy. The accuracy isn't 100% on purpose. There just happened to be accuracy on a lot of these runes that I was using that happened to be good runes anyways, like this crit damage rune. Um, that could have been so good. This could have been like a crit damage rune to grind and keep forever if it hadn't rolled 1 into flat HP. Because in that case, I would have enchanted on defense percentage where the flat HP is, and then just grinded all the stats up. This could have been such an amazing rune. But some of these runes, pretty decent. This rune was a blue rune. Super excited about that rune. Anyways, she's on Violent now. I do get to play around with her on Violent, which is really, really fun. It helps in Guild Siege as well. Faye can sometimes just solo entire teams by herself. It's pretty ridiculous. Bella's still up to Bella nonsense, which, it kind of sucks. I was really excited about having my Bella at this level. I mentioned a while back, Bella's just on filler runes. I just needed a slot 2 rune. When I took away Bella's slot 2 for Galleon or Chiwu a while back, I did need to fill a set just because I use Bella in some places, not in any dungeon teams, but just for Guild War defense, as well as a few Guild War offenses I use. I use an offense with Rakan, and Bella pairs really well with Rakan, just for that defense break and the heal, and sometimes tanks dark monsters that are on defense. So I was really ashamed to not be able to find a way to fit Bella into my Raid 5 comp. It just happens that it's just not the best option I have. Fire Harpoo's healing, is just slightly superior in terms of the rest of her kit, just because the rest of her kit synergizes so well with R5, and Bella really only has the defense break and the heal, and we do have an abundance of defense breaks on that team, so I'm probably gonna end up just not using Bella for those teams. However, I mean there are some decent runes on here which I may steal for some of my raid units in the future. Other units that are notable, there aren't really too many. I've been trying to something I did a while back, and I'm going to talk about farming dragons real quick because this is something that has been talked about and attempted a lot in my on my channel and in my streams for a good long while now, talking about dragons B10, when should you farm it, when do I want to farm it, why am I farming it, and I want to clear some things up. So I am farming dragons B10 right now, and it's not because I feel the need to have violent runes. However, there are some units that I really want violent runes on in order to make them better for things like raid. So the main unit I'm looking at violent runes for is Lisa, because of course you can't always trust the AI, and since R5 is completely controlled by AI, you never know what your team is going to do, and you don't really control what it's going to do at any point. So you really have to stack your team with the best possible odds to increase the success rate of the team. And so I want really fast violent runes on my Lisa, so that just in case the AI derps, there's a chance that a violent proc can come in and save the day. Now, that's not to say that violent runes are completely necessary, as the thing that is most necessary for a cleanser in R5 is really high speed and really high resistance, so that they don't get stun locked or anything like that, and can still remove all the negative effects on your team. That's their main job. But the violent runes really help the success rate, I believe, of teams, and basically give you a little bit more of a fighting chance, because you're fighting against the raid 5 boss, but what you're really fighting against is the AI of your units. So I do want to give her a really fast violent set. However, that may not be possible, just because, I mean, the amount of dragons I'm going to need to farm in order to get the quality of violent runes that I want is going to be a lot. But however, this team is pretty successful. I did do, I think it was 200 runs. I marked down on paper somewhere. I'll find that later if you guys are curious about that. And I see a 96% success rate with this team. Megan is on leftover runes. Bella doesn't have a speed in slot 2. Bella has a defense slot 2, but I guess maybe that actually helps the success rate because Bella doesn't really die. Um, but anyways, the team is very successful. It might be even more than 96%. I don't know. I'm lowballing it with the 96%. I have the paper somewhere. I didn't calculate it all out, but I did write down the rates of the 200 runs that I logged on that piece of paper. But it's a fairly successful team. It's got damage dealer Vero in here. It's got Sigmaris on an HP crit damage attack Swift Blade set. So Sig has a pretty low chance of dying anywhere. The only person who ever really dies is Megan. It's probably just because Megan has almost no defense and pretty low HP for being in a speed HP build. I believe she's all on 5-star runes. But the team is fairly successful. It lets me farm dragons. No real irritation here, and I still get to see some of my favorite units, so it's not ideally how I would like to be farming dragons, but at the success rate I don't think I could really complain. Also, it doesn't affect my Giants B10 team whatsoever, so if at any point in time I feel like I want to go back into Giants, I don't even have to think about it. I just go back into Giants, no rune replacement, anybody. No fighting the two teams or multiple units fighting each other for the same rune set as I had with the Speed Dragons team as compared to the Speed Giants team, where I'd have to completely remove runes from certain units because of course they had my best runes. And if you're going for a Speed Dragons B10 team, of course you're going to need your best runes, unless you're really late game or you've got some insane grinds on your secondary damage dealer runes. So anyways, this is the team that I'm running right now. Like I said, I am farming for some fast, high resistance, violent runes. I am going to be concerned about HP and defense, of course. I have baselines that I want to hit for all the units, and I wrote those down on paper. This might be highballing it. I know there's some people who watch my videos who have experienced Raid 5 or have at least dabbled in it enough to understand how realistically you can hit certain stat thresholds. And I understand that hitting all of these stats, high speed, high HP, high defense, high resistance, even some accuracy on some of your units, is not easy to hit. But I like to set the standard for runes on my units really highly and aim to hit as close as possible to those standards so that my units could have the best chance of succeeding in whatever area of the game I'm building them for. So we'll talk about speed really quickly. I heard from some people, that's a weird rune, I heard from some people that they like around 230 speed for their cleansers. That's what I was reading at a few of the Reddit pages and some other posts I've been reading online recently. But I'm aiming for a minimum of 210 speed, for violent cleansers, and 230 speed for swift cleansers. And for healers, of course, you want your healer to go after your cleanser, and then after that you have your off tanks and supports, and then after that you have your damage dealers. And that's essentially the speed tuning. So healers, I'd want to be as close to the speed of the cleansers as possible without going before them, just so we have maximum efficiency of the team. And then we have our off tanks or support units, so our Zhang Fei, our people who are going to provide the defense break, the people who are going to provide more negative effects on the boss. And then afterward we have our damage dealer. And on any comp we build, we're probably going to limit ourselves to 2 damage dealers. I don't want to get too ambitious with the damage dealers in our compositions, and I think that's the right amount of damage dealers to have. But at the same time, you don't want to take away too many damage dealers, because the longer the raid boss is alive, the stronger he gets, or the more damage he's going to do to your team, and the harder it's going to be for your team to sustain, essentially. because sustaining through all that damage will be, really hard. So you want enough damage to kill the boss fast enough, but you don't want to put too much damage in your team where you're crippling yourself in the way of healing or tanking the damage. So I'm going to stick to a double damage dealer comp. And of course, they're going to move after the off tanks and supports. I'm going to have my 2 damage dealers move. So, yeah, 2 cleansers, 1 healer, but one of my cleansers does heal. The water Sky Dancer does heal, but Fire Harpoo is going to be my main healer, so she's going to be around 200 plus speed. Like I said, I want to make her as fast as I can without going before my cleansers. So her base speed is not terribly fast, I don't believe, so keeping her a little bit slower might not be that hard, especially since I'm going to need to give her really high HP and defense. Anyways, it's kind of nicer that I need her to be slower. So in terms of HP and defense stats for my units, I have this all written down on a flashcard if anyone's curious. It's a giant mess. The HP HP and defense, I'm looking for my damage dealers, and the defense is going to be really hard to hit, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to hit that well. Yeah, it's probably more realistic to say 900 to 1,000 defense, but I'm aiming for 22 to 25,000 HP on my damage dealers, as well as around a 1,200 defense is what I would like to have on them, but for some of these units, plus 700 to plus 800 defense is going to be really, really hard to hit, especially when you're trying to get crit rate subs and crit damage, and that's why a lot of people end up building units on, speed HP defense or speed HP attack, or HP HP attack defense or something like that, instead of a traditional attack crit damage whatever build. If I could hit an HP crit damage attack build on my damage dealers, I will definitely aim to do so, but I'm not going to get too full of myself and act like I'm better than using a composition like that, because starting off, I need my units to survive, because if the Water Kung Fu Girl or the Dark Kung Fu Girl dies, or if Hua dies, they're not putting any damage into the team anyway, so I might as well not get too greedy with their damage outputs. But those are the HP and defense stats I would like to hit, so I'm going to be aiming for that. For cleansers, I'm aiming for 30 to 35,000 HP. I know that's a really high bar to set, as well as 1,500 defense. So speed HP with high defense subs, or speed HP defense with high HP subs is about what I'm going to be aiming for on my cleansers. And the same thing goes for my healers. I'm aiming for as high of HP and defense as I possibly can, while still trying to aim for around upwards of 70% resistance. Resistance is more of a bonus for these teams. The way I look at Raid is semi-similar to the way I look at a beginner Giants B10 team. When you're first going into Giants B10, you can't really prioritize damage because your runes aren't there, your stats on your team isn't quite there. So you're just going for being able to complete it, even if it's a little bit slower. And even if you can't hit those accuracy caps on your units, your main priority is to hit the HP that you can on all those units, as well as the speed, because even if you don't land the harmful effects 100% of the time, or even in this case, if you don't resist everything 100% of the time, having enough speed and enough survivability can help you go through it. Whereas if you just aim to hit the speed and the resistance and you're really gimping yourself on the HP and defense, who cares if your units resisted the Oblivion or resisted the stun if your team dies in 2 hits? They wouldn't have done anything anyways. So that's about what I'm aiming for on all those units. I know this has been really raid-oriented episode. However, don't misconstrue my intentions. Summoners War, of course, my intentions are always to progress my dungeon teams. I would like eventually to get a Speed Dragons B10 team, because there are some units that would be more fun to have on Violent. And of course, at the end of the day, this is a game, and it's all about getting some kind of satisfaction from playing it, which in my case lately has been finding a way to play around with units in different ways, like putting the Violent set on Faye. Is the Violent set better than a Fatal Blade set in terms of stats? No, not at all. Is the Violent set gonna help me more than a Fatal Blade set? Probably not. However, is a Violent set going to be more fun and more enjoyable for me to play with than a Fatal Blade set at the time, at the current moment in the game? Absolutely. Violent Fae is really fun. So I am going to be playing around with more units like that. I did rune up the Water Sky Dancer a little bit with some speed attack just to screw around with her in Guild Wars. There's a specific reason why I didn't click on certain units, because they are runed up with runes that don't at all meet the quota for what I would like them to be runed up. One of those units is the Wind Monkey King. I talked about him for Raid 5 a while back. It's going to turn out that I'm not going to be using him, though. Even though I do like the Wind Monkey King and I do really look forward to using him on certain teams in the future, I do not plan on using him in dungeon teams, at least not yet, because honestly right now I just have to go for the core mechanics and take what I can get. So Giants, to wrap this all up, Giants hasn't changed at all. Same old Giants team. I have been putting Devilmons into a mirror. I guess that is something relevant I should mention. I do use him in my main Giants B10 team, and I'm going to be using him forever in Guild Wars because he's just a really fun unit, and he synergizes with a lot of other units that provide some sort of AoE harmful effect, or stun, for example, or the Water Homunculus, who has some great synergy with. So I don't feel bad about Devilmoning him. In Glory Shop, Glory Towers, there has been something that changed. There's a reason why I wasn't able to buy this week's Devilmon. It's because I just purchased the Speed Tower, or level 5, the Skytrip Totem level 5. So I'm pretty excited about that. It's a really slow progression in terms of leveling up these Glory Towers. It takes forever, a lot of arena grinding, but slowly but surely we are leveling this tower up. And we're just over halfway, so that's about it for this episode. There's not too much to leave you guys on. I have pulled a few good runes lately, if I could find any that I was excited about. I don't think I'm going to be able to find them. Of course, I can't find them on queue. But anyways, I've been pulling runes lately that are up to my raid standard in terms of the main stat and substat combinations. So I've been really psyched about some of the runes I've been getting lately. Like this rune. This rune's pretty exciting. Defense slot 2, good HP, has some accuracy, and it has some speed too. So anyways, I've been super excited about the runes I've been getting lately. They did increase the rune drop rates a little bit of hero and legend grade runes. It feels like significantly more than what they put it out as when they released the patch notes. They made it sound like, oh, there's a minor adjustment, and it's going to be insignificant. But so far, I've seen a crazy rune increase. Also, on the event, I haven't got Illusion. So, spoiler alert for anybody who was curious about that. I didn't get Illusion from the event yet. I'm 5 summons in, so hopefully I get Illusion by the next episode. If not, I'll keep farming dragons, and I'll keep working on my raid team. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and comment below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Hey guys, it's West again. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe for more.